Namaste and welcome to Urban Chatterati. This is Abhinav Prakash. And today I am joined by Varun Jhaveri, National Incharge of Policy and Research, Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, ex-OSD to Ayushman Bharat, and also someone who is pursuing his MBA from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Varun, welcome to
Namaste,
the show.
Abhinavji. Thank you for having me here. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here, Varun. Varun, we have seen that India has performed really well in both in the Olympics and also in the Paralympics. Of course, if you go by the absolute number, we are far behind China and America as of now. But when compared to our own previous record, this is nothing short of a miracle, especially the Paralympics.
Yeah.
What do you think has happened there? Why this sudden change that we have won more medals in this Paralympics than we have won in the last 60 years, I guess?
Yeah. So, Abhinav, I would say that it is not a miracle. Probably it has happened suddenly, in a span of last 10 days. That's why all of us, including me, we are quite shocked to see the stupendous performance. And of course, a lot of credit and kudos to all the incredible athletes, who have gone out there and who have performed their best. What a moment of, national pride to see them winning, and, especially when they step on the podium, to see the Indian flag, being raised. So it's a great moment for all of us. But it is not a miracle. It is a sort of it's a result of a culmination of a lot of structured efforts that have, taken place across many years. It has happened over a lot of time. It has taken its time to, to grow. And there are many different programs. There are many different schemes and initiatives that different bodies which deal with sports administration in India, especially athletics, they have taken. So again, if I have to really break down into different buckets, and if you have to analyze that, I would say that there are primarily three things that is really the fundamental building blocks of a sports getting that type of prosperity in a country. Number one is identification of the right form of talent. So the purpose of identifying the athletes at the right time is very critical. So most of the time, it is said that you need to catch them young, and that is especially at the level when either they are pursuing their studies or they are just about to get graduate. If you look at some of the countries such as US and China, for many years, there are very structured programs at a school level, at a middle school level, wherein the idea is to identify this talent, to scout this talent, and put them into structured athletic development program, which can complement with their academic journey. So the first part is with regard to identification of talent. The second part is providing the basic infrastructure such that the identified talent can be nourished. And when I talk about infrastructure, I'm talking about all different types of facility, both the physical infrastructure as well as the human infrastructure. Your sporting facilities, your coaching staff, your right sort of exposure to competition, pretty much everything. The entire sort of the ecosystem that we talk about. But here, the second one that we're talking about is more of the basic sporting infrastructure. And the third one, which is something that we have really experienced this particular time, especially in the Paralympic Games, is how do you go from good to great? That is the type of journey that is something that it is really required when you want to target Olympics or you want to target Paralympics. So good to great does not happen with basic infrastructure. It needs to happen with a lot of advanced structured programs, such as the one that government started in 2014. Which is called TOPS program, the Target Olympic Podium Scheme. When the government started the program, it did not mince its words. It named the program as that we are targeting the Olympic podium. And that is, as clear an intent can be. So this program, which was started in 2014, and, we can talk later about what the program is about. But this program was a program which is aimed at taking the good athletes and providing them all different sort of facilities and access to resources which can take them from becoming too good to great. So being a good athlete, the country was doing well at Commonwealth, the country was doing decently well at Asian Games, But the real problem was that we were not able to compete at an Olympic or at an Paralympic level. And that is where you require that particular greatness. And I think, there are some sort of a structured programs that the government has implemented. One example is the TOPS that I gave you, which has actually made us, take that particular trajectory. So as I said, for us, probably, since we were not, not taking into consideration their monthly performance or yearly performance for us as a country, probably that has come as a miracle. But the type of performance that our athletes have been giving at various milestones and the type of support and the type of grooming that have been happening, that itself has happened in a very structured and a very calibrated manner. And I think what we are seeing now is a result of that.
Yes, I agree to that point. The government has been focusing on cultivating good athletes and providing them great facilities. But any specific thing which the government has done? You mentioned TOPS, Target Olympic Podium. Yeah. Can you elaborate upon it and other things which the government has been doing, maybe increasing the budget and so on of the sports authority and other things?
So Abhinav, let's again, go back to those three buckets that I mentioned in my first question. Let's start with the identification of talent. So we did have some sort of a national talent scouting competition for sporting athletes, but that wasn't really that wasn't really working the way it should be. So what the government did was that it took on various different components with regard to identification of talent, sporting infrastructure, and it compressed into this huge holistic program called Khelo India, which was launched sometime in 2017. Now, the essence of Khelo India is, first of all, to give the limelight to sports. For very long, sports as a field, it was very culturally ignored. It was considered to be a very risky occupation. And, if you're trying to pursue sports, which itself is a very non-conventional option, you would generally, people will generally probably ask you whether you're trying to, pursue becoming a cricketer. There was no particular recognition for being something like an athlete. And that is what Khelo India started changing. Khelo India started providing a platform for the young athletes, especially at the school level and at a university level, to actually come out and to compete at a state level, district level, state level, and even at a national level. So if you look at the Khelo India and if you look at the last three Khelo India games, you will see that Khelo India has happened at the school level. Khelo India has also happened at a university level. So this is a sort of a great identification mechanism wherein you are actually catching the athletes at a very young age. You are seeing what type of caliber do they hold. Because, athletics is also a lot about the type of dedication, the focus, and the type of commitment that athletes can actually put into their games. And that is exactly what Khelo India tries to do. It tries to recognize that which are the athletes which have that basic potential, which can then be picked up, then can be trained by, some of the best coaches at the national level, and then can be, exposed to national and international level of competition. So Khelo India, if you look at it, there are, 12 different verticals which are focused on, different areas such as, identification of talent, developing infrastructure, working with states in developing their particular infrastructure facilities. So in a way, what has happened is that all these particular elements, they have started coming together. Earlier, we were looking everything in very silos. Someone who was doing identification was not talking to the sport infrastructure person. So, someone might identify, let's say, 10 people who are great in long jump, but there is no long jump facility in the state. So, there was this huge mismatch which was happening. But now with this entire, ecosystem coming under one particular program, there is a lot of, I would say integration, and there is a good sort of a holistic approach which is followed in this. So this is with regard to identification. Now, if you look at the second bucket, which is with regard to the sporting infrastructure, if you look at the sporting infrastructure, the Sports Authority of India has established 23 national centers of excellence. And there are around 67 Sports Authority of India training centers right now, which provide some of the best possible training to the athletes. There are around 10,000 athletes which are being trained right now at those centers. Although I believe that for a country of our scale and our size, we drastically need to increase that number. But this is a good start. At the same time, there are around 100 different facilities which have international standards. So, what is really happening is that our athletes are getting the access to the sporting infrastructure. And there is also a lot of focus that is happening on identifying the talent and bringing this talent from the rural pockets. So even if you look at our Paralympic athletes, or even if you look at, our Olympians, who have done well, you will see that there is a lot of talent that have come from the rural pockets. And this is all a result of good identification and giving them the exposure to the sporting infrastructure which has been developed. So the identification of talent is now getting complemented by the basic infrastructure that has happened. So this is with regard to the whole infrastructure development. Now coming to the third part, which is with regard to this advanced program, very focused, very specific programs, wherein my purpose is that I want to work with good athletes and make them internationally competitive. How can I do that? And that is when the government really started the TOPS program in 2014. Now, one big issue that really happens, with a lot of our athletes is actually financial independence. So as a sporting person, if I want to pursue sport, it is very important that I focus a lot on the training as well as on, giving my time to compete at various different levels. And because of that, it is very difficult for me to actually, go out and on, like a daily professional would do. So what the TOPS do is that it provides a monthly stipend of 50,000 rupees, monthly stipend of 50,000 rupees to the selected athletes in TOPS. Right now, there are around 150 to 160 athletes which have been selected for the TOPS program in the last many years that TOPS has been implemented. The second very critical point of TOPS is that TOPS focuses on the complete holistic development and catering to all the requirements of athlete. So, you see our cricket team, you see our cricketing athletes, they have a fixed meal. They deal a lot with the scientific staff. They have nutritional coaches, they focus a lot on their mental health. That is exactly what TOPS do with our, athletes in different games that they are competing for. So whether they have a requirement for nutrition, whether they require some sort of a scientific staff, they want to really improve the type of, performance that they are giving. They want to go ahead and, compete in international event. TOPS is the one that gives them the particular sanction and make sure that they are exposed to all these resources. I will give an example. A lot of our athletes, let me give an example of our golden boy, Neeraj Chopra. So Neeraj Chopra, he, before the Olympics, before 6 months, he was feeling that he want to get more exposure of international games. And that's when, the government actually, through the TOPS scheme, decided that, Neeraj Chopra will be sent out. He would be trained internationally. So not a lot of people know about this, that Neeraj Chopra for a long period of time, he was supported by the government to actually go out and train so that he can get exposed to that international competition. So this is what really TOPS do. There is, Mission Olympic, which has been institutionalized within the ministry, which takes care of all these requirements. And along with, providing all these particular, facilities, it also gives out the stipend so that the athlete can concentrate on what he's supposed to do, which is perform and give his 100% for the particular sport. At the same time, one very important point is that if you look at traditionally how the sports have been managed, there has been a lot of management which has been done by, a lot of non-athlete administrators. If you look at the TOPS scheme, you see the committee actually comprises of some of our star athletes. There is Abhinav Bindra, there is, Mr. Gopichand, there is Rahul Dravid. The idea behind that is that it is athletes who understand the requirements of athletes. And that is why it is very important that we have some of the stalwarts in this particular committee who can actually administer this program. So, this is the sort of the mechanism which has been put in place by the government. And, the last 7 hard working years that have been put both by the government and the athletes, I think that is what, is yielding the results that we are witnessing now.
Yes, that's wonderful to hear, because so few people know about these efforts of the government. And if I can also add, Varun, the medals in the Olympics are directly correlated to your GDP and your HDI.
Yeah.
The higher human development index you have, the more better athletes you are going to produce. And I think, this entire scheme of Har Ghar Nal, Nal Se Jal scheme, providing safe drinking water to everyone, providing healthcare facility to the masses. I think these are also indirectly related to the kind of human capital you're producing, which can compete in the Olympics. But there's one more thing, you are sitting, it seems, in a stadium, you're so excited and happy about the entire performance. One thing is also, which is very clear, that the government has backed the athletes. Mm-hmm. It has supported them the Prime Minister himself has been, very enthusiastic about encouraging them in the victory and loss. I think that also has an impact. Something has changed in India that we have seen.
Oh, absolutely, Abhinav. That has such a big impact. When was the last time, the Prime Minister, when you recollect, the Prime Minister actually meeting the athletes before they leave the country, meeting them after they have achieved, giving them personalized calls, giving them the country is so proud about the performance that they're giving. So, for an athlete, it is such a huge moment of recognition when the leader of the country is giving him a call. Yesterday, I was, watching this video wherein, the Prime Minister was talking to an athlete, also happens to be, one of the district magistrate of the Uttar Pradesh, and he had won a silver medal. I think his name is Mr. Suhas. So the Prime Minister very candidly was saying that your performance is so well that it made me desperate to actually talk to you. Imagine a Prime Minister saying this type of words to an athlete. That shows the amount of commitment, that shows the amount of importance and the amount of dedication that the Prime Minister has actually invested in making India a sporting destination. So, without that particular political will, a lot of, you might want to roll out a lot of schemes, you might roll out a lot of policies, but, without that political leadership and that stewardship, we won't see that acceptability and that type of accountability which can take place in the country. So I think it is, some way the force, that the Prime Minister has brought on the table, that sports is important to India. And we are a country which has the world's youngest population. And we are going to show to the world that we are also capable of producing the best athletes in the world. And I think that is one of the big forces which is behind this.
Yeah, and we also see this cultural change that suddenly people are talking about athletes. Neeraj Chopra today is the biggest superstar in India. For a change, it's not Bollywood, it's someone with a genuine achievement. But the response of the old elites in the country, and especially the cringe liberal chatterati class, has been very appalling. I mean, the way they are treating Neeraj Chopra, it's like it amounts to harassment of that guy. So do you think, this is a clash between New India, because most of these sporting superstars are coming from humble backgrounds, from villages and all, and somehow this old guard of India is unable to understand and unable to take it. I mean, they see these people as exotic specimen to whom they can harass, to whom they can dance on their interviews and, ask silly questions. Do you think there's a cultural clash which is also seen in the last?
Yeah, absolutely. We often talk about, breaking the glass ceilings. This is a complete disruption of the status quo. My legends, my sporting heroes are no longer only coming from, Delhi and Mumbai. They are coming from Jind, they are coming from Alwar, they are coming from Bhavnagar, they are coming from Mysore, they are coming from Patna, all different places they are coming. And they are the ones who have put their blood and sweat into coming from such humble backgrounds. They are invested their entire lifetime just for that 10 seconds of, performing there. If you look at some of the performances, you will see that it's only a matter of, a minute or a couple of minutes. But the type of performance that you see within those 2 minutes, there is, a lifetime of hard work and achievement there. So, when the existing sort of the liberal class, they see that, the sporting heroes, the role models, they are changing. They feel very insecure about their existing, power corridors that they are sitting in. They feel that the country is now actually moving towards and looking at some other heroes. And that is what, creates a lot of insecurity. But as you said, Abhinav, this is the new India. This is the India which is becoming, wherein we value hard work, wherein we value meritocracy, wherein we value diligence, wherein we value commitment. This is not the India wherein we value what is your, family's last name, wherein we don't value dynasty, wherein we don't value, how much access do you have when you were born. This is all about, putting your blood and sweat, rising to the occasion and making the country proud.
And also, most of these athletes are culturally rooted. We have seen that they are very proud Hindus. They're very proud of their village roots. And we have seen how the liberals were cancelling them within few minutes after they discovered their political opinions and their cultural opinions. So that was also fun to watch, Varun. But the last thing, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Right? As compared to China, Germany, America, we're still, quite below the ladder. What needs to be done now? What are the gray areas as of now, and where can we improve upon?
Absolutely. I think, as I said in the beginning, I think this is a start. It's a good start, but we still have a long way to go. We have the world's youngest population right now, and this is very important that we really leverage the power of young people that we have right now. There are a lot of areas where we need to improve upon. Some of this, I would say, some of the areas that I would be keenly watching, wherein I think that it needs to start integrating more and more with sports development. One would be how to integrate more of technology. So we see that technology has become an integral part across different sort of sectors. So I would want to know that what type of technology can be brought into sports. I would want to see that how can we use data analysis for measuring the performance and calibrating and improving the performance of our athletes. That is the first area. Second thing that I want to see is more involvement of the private sector and partnership with them. A lot of things that we focus right now, it was a lot of efforts that the government has taken place. Till now, we have seen that the role of private sector has only been restricted to more or less sponsoring some of the events. But rather, I want to see how the private sector and public sector can come together, share their particular learnings and help improve the sporting infrastructure develop. The third thing that I am really hopeful that we will see in the future is, startups coming out in this particular sector. I feel this is a big sort of an area where we need more and more innovative disruption coming in. We have seen sports management have become a big sort of a sector that has emerged, especially in the Western countries. I would want to see some of the startups coming on, which focuses on how to improve the performance of our athletes, how to improve the quality and access of the sporting infrastructure which is there. That is the third thing that I want to see. The fourth thing that I would love to see is an improvement in the overall consciousness with regard to some of the non-conventional sports. We have seen that after the Pro Kabaddi League started, how Kabaddi has received a momentum. I feel that we can have some similar sort of a league for some of the Olympic related games. Like I would love to see a league which has participation of international sports person and national sports person, and it has games like long jump, shot put, similar to an Olympic format. I feel that such type of league, it really does two things. First, it really encourages and motivates and brings limelight to our national sporting heroes. Second, it also develops a lot of sensitization within the citizen about what the games are. A lot of times, I was watching fencing, because we had one Indian young woman, who had went to the fencing, and she performed really well. But unfortunately, I did not know the rules of how fencing works. So I think that type of sensitization is important with regard to what these games are. And I feel that if we have a national league of international standard, how we have the Pro Kabaddi League or IPL, I think that is something which will really help. And I think the fifth one is probably giving more awareness of sporting as an integral part of the curriculum. And this is also something which is well reflected in the national education policy. Sports need not be seen as a different piece as compared to the academic experience. If we look at a lot of soft skills right now, whether it is decision making, whether it is teamwork, whether it is, coming and, forming opinions, I think sports, it is one of the most effective tool of building this type of skills. So it would be very important to see how sports can be integrated in the actual academic curriculum, wherein sports is not a different part, but it's more of a comprehensive learning experience. So I want to see the sports coming out as a learning experience. And then, the students who perform well, they can be taken in the sports trajectory. But overall, I want each and every student to have access to that type of, sporting experiences. I think these are, some of the 5 points that I think will really help us shape, the future trajectory of sports development in the country.
I agree, Varun. I mean, those are very important points. And I'm pretty sure lots of people in the private sector are also now thinking about investing in the sports. And I think that this is just the beginning. The momentum has just started. But thanks a lot, Varun, for talking to us. It's always a great experience talking to you because you are so detailed 1.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. Someone, who is professional can and who has think about these things thoroughly can come up with such great insights. But thanks a lot once again, Varun.
Thank you, Abhinav. It's always great to be on this show and talk to you. Thank you again for inviting me. Looking forward to our future discussions. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, for listening to us. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you soon.